going? It's Monday. Whatever that means. It's Monday. Monday. I'm beat. My Monday was spent being very busy all day. And now it's time to finally relax by doing a performative stream. Because that's how you wind down. I kid. Actually, it's pretty relaxing. But I hope everybody out there in internet land is doing all right. Things are all right here. We got a nice, crisp ginger ale to go with our lawyer detective visual novel. Don't get too excited. It's nothing fancy. Just a Canada Dry. Cost a big fat $2.25. Can you believe it? I think I used to get those for like $1.75. Inflation. It's great. But so this game's moving along. It's also, again, this game just keeps being way bigger than I think it's gonna be for a mere $10 piece of content. Ooh, this thing goes pretty deep. It's pretty dense. There's a lot going on here, and I think we're starting to close in on the end. The last time we were together, we did our first major court scene. We got through that. It was really hype. A lot of good stuff. I like the way that the courtroom mechanics work in this game. It's rather fun. And of course, like the big star was, of course, the adjutant. Best judge ever. She's fantastic. I hope she continues to be a fixture of the story. But the big thing is that Sarah may have done a big murdery-do. Apparently she was caught on camera giving the deceased a cup which may be poisoned. We're still kind of trying to work out the specifics of all of that. But seeing as she is an android and android not supposed to kill people, that's a pretty big thing. So now we're trying to debate whether the android is an AI. And Morgan has thrown herself to the wolves here. She's putting herself on the line for a felony charge of possession of an AI. And if she loses the case, that's a big problem because she will not only go to jail, but our very cute android friend will get incinerated in, I think it was like 30,000 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. So I don't think there's going to be much left. How's it going, Garden? Yeah, I don't know. Like, if there's anybody that I expect to hold their own in jail, it's Morgan. I think she'd probably do okay, but I'd really rather her not go to jail. But I mean, that would not be the weirdest twist that this series has gone in. So if she did end up, like, I have no idea where this story's going because I thought I had an idea where we were going last night, and then suddenly, there's still like half of the game left probably. I thought we were winding down. Yeah, I'm loving this so far. I also have to mention that yes, I was given a key for this game by the developer. So that of course means that you cannot trust my thoughts and opinions on it, because I am a shill. You're done now. Oh, this has got bonus interviews too. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. But right now we're going back into investigative mode, I believe. Before we go back into court. So I imagine, given the pace that things have gone, I imagine that tonight is probably going to be investigation, and I guess tomorrow we wrap up with the next day of the trial. So let's just dive in. I don't know where we're going. I think we're going to the detention center? All right. What do we got going on? Oh, right, this does not save, so I need to bring my tech speed back up. All right. So is that door locked? Yeah, of course. Even though they've got it collared? It's a precaution. If the collar doesn't work, what good would a deadbolt do? Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Can't have Schrodinger's cat if the box isn't closed. So long as the door's locked, who can say whether there's a national crisis on the other side of it? So how scared are they? The higher ups? I'm not sure scared is the right word. It's just the two of us here. You don't have to mind their ego. Nah, I mean it. I missed a line there. Nah, I mean it. I think they're bloodthirsty. I have a right to defend myself, don't I? I doubt they're even looking at you, Tiger. It's Noble who will be at the center of this bloodbath when the markets reopen tomorrow. You think they're gonna go after Noble? Break their monopoly? I think they want to take their monopoly. Oh, the state is making a play. Oh, all of the ugly people are making plays against each other. This is great. We are like caught in the middle of something that is so much bigger than us. So what is a collar? Is a restraint designed to impede movement and prohibit the use of mods throughout the body. While collars appear technologically advanced from the outside, designers' concerns about hacking vulnerabilities and the growing complexity of consumer-grade mods led them to opt for surprisingly a simple method of restraint. Collars contain a specifically designed electromagnet that, once clasped around the neck, interferes with spinal neural transmission, preventing mod users from sending commands to any implanted tech below the neck. Powerful, simple, and cost-effective. Collar use is widespread among law enforcement, military, and private security organizations. With the onset of above-the-neck modding in recent years, the continued relevance of collars as a means of meaningfully inhibiting a wearer's mod usage has been called into question. Newer designs have been proposed that utilized microneedle clusters, but concerns about the sanitary upkeep required for such an invasive restraint has stymied product development cycles. All right, so she's gonna be shackled, I imagine, then. Nationalize the Android industry? If the public thinks Noble's been experimenting with AI, they couldn't ask for a better excuse. You're joking. The state has done it plenty of times before. Not since the 60s, which wasn't that long ago for me. For the state, it's practically yesterday. So the same state that tells us to be terrified of AIs lurking around the old net or biding their time in forgotten satellites sees all this as nothing more than an opportunity. Well, they do genuinely want to incinerate the thing as soon as possible. Past experience just tells me they'll want to gain something while they're at it. Here's what I don't get. Why is this a debate, an argument, a trial? Can't we just hook it up to a core computer and see if it has the tenets or not? Pop the hood, as they say? Who says that? Lots of people used to say it. I bet Reyes says it. She likes cars. AI lurking on the old dead is part of the plot of Cyberpunk 2077. You know, that doesn't shock me. This game's been full of fun references so far, so yeah, that tracks. Well, for starters, they're all scared to death about a contagion. They figure anything they let an AI connect to, they can't trust. Then why the collar? Collars are too simple to hack, just a really strong electromagnet held in place with lock and key. Even so, feels like we should be able to build some kind of machine, some kind of test, something a little more sophisticated than the same reasoning they had at the witch trials. Burn them all and let God sort out the rest. You got any polygraphs here at the station? Lie detectors? Yeah, got a bunch back in storage. Ocular, heart rate, perspiration, brain scan, take your pick. You're not gonna try and use one of those on the bot, are you? All those fancy lie detectors lying around, the DA's office never asks for them, do they? Nope. Nah, we get perps who offer to take the test when they're at their wits' end, but the DAs never submit the results as evidence. You ever wonder why? Guess I always figured it was because the tests could be beaten. The tests can be beaten. 1 out of 100, 1 out of 100, 9 out of 1,000. It can be done. Some people are just that good at lying. But it doesn't really matter how good the tech gets or how impressive the statistics are. All that matters is the doubt. People decide whether you're lying or telling the truth long before they hook you up to that polygraph. If the results don't match their initial impression, then it must be a fluke. once in a million mistake. They'll never trust a machine more than their own intuition, and no one will ever trust a machine to determine guilt. So they can run the trial, choose the sentence, but they don't get a vote on the jury. They don't get a vote anywhere. Why bring it up then? Because I'm sure there are tests, devices, experts I could employ to analyze Sarah, but your bosses would never be satisfied with the answer. If it is an AI, it's smart enough to cheat the test, or hack the device, fool the expert. All our fancy 21st century tech, and we still fall back on the drumhead court-martial. So, am I gonna set off any alarms if I go and turn it on? Nah, you should be okay. If it lunges at you, I could always put a hole in its head. Might take more than one shot to... Wait, what? From outside? You're not coming in? I need to speak with it in private. It's a machine, not a suspect. It doesn't have a right to counsel, or a right to privacy, or any rights at all, actually. And it's a good thing I came prepared. Of course it doesn't have rights, but I do, including a reasonable expectation of privacy. In a public station? Tiger, you don't. It's my medical android. Pardon. I have to discuss a health issue with it. Seriously. I have to talk about a medical concern with my android, and I don't want you listening in. That's your medical android? Like your nurse? As of last night, I was already at the courthouse. Just had to take the elevator and do some paperwork. You can check if you don't believe me. No, thank you. I'm not nearly brave enough to take on med confidentiality, and you don't seem like the bluffing type. No, certainly not Morgan. Definitely not the bluffing type. All right, we got another term up here. Wait, what do we get? Nationalize. All right, the act of absorbing a corporation or industry into a nation's government, shifting authority and profits to the state, and restructuring the business model to function as a part of the bureaucracy. Nationalization is a so-called nuclear option for sovereign nations. It is mostly used as a threat, a tool of deterrence against corporate misconduct, monopolies, or corruption. However, during periods of severe economic depression or hyperinflation, nationalization is considered a valid way to forcefully stabilize the market, even if doing so risks flaming the temperatures of those who operate within it. Many governments made liberal use of nationalization during the late 2050s through the 2060s in an effort to keep energy and food prices from fluctuating out of control. The 2070s saw most of these countries reverse course. Industries were opened back up in a free auction model where every citizen was given a share to trade or sell as they pleased, but this contentious process was plagued by accusations of government corruption, cartel intimidation, and disinformation campaigns. The global trend back towards privatization gave rise to a new rich, sometimes diversely referred to as the neobility. Some liberal economists have since criticized this period of deregulation as being poorly planned and executed in haste, contributing to the record high of wealth inequity we see today, leaving many governments loath to attempt nationalization again, thus shifting the global balance of power further towards multinational corporations. Today, all 5 of the largest national economies in the world retain at least some control of what each state consider their respective country's key industries, making the threat of nationalization carry marginally more weight within those borders. Again, all this stuff seems real prescient. You must not do a lot of gambling, detective. It's the ones who don't bluff that you have to look out for. Listen, I won't dispute whatever medical emergency you... Lower back pain. You might be going through... But I also can't just... Look, I'm gonna go get something from the vending machine. I think it'll take me about half an hour. Are you going downtown? Just to the break room. But it's a very old vending machine, you know? Gets jammed a lot. Thanks. You know, it's pretty small for an android. Heavy as hell. Nearly pulled something trying to move it myself. But small. Small isn't quite the right word. The word he's looking for is young. But that's not an adjective anyone likes attaching to a machine built to serve. Yeah. Again, they're very good at their word use with regards to referring to artificial life. Or potentially, in this case, a machine built to kill. I don't like this room. Oh! D003! This is where we interrogated Carlos, isn't it? Certainly not a guilty conscience. Oh, I don't doubt it. It's not a guilty conscience. Maybe it's the lack of ventilation. Like all the cortisol and the nausea and its inhabitants never had anywhere to go. Like it all just soaked into the walls. A modern haunting. Are you gonna wake up when I tell you this time? Or do we have to do the whole meet cute all over again? Aw, she got a little collar on. Where am I? Why do I not know where I am? For the first time in your life, you're not connected to anything. How's it feel? What is this? We were at the courthouse. The footage, this numbness around my neck. Father, what happened? What are they going to do to me? Oh, there's a lot of interested parties who just want you bricked ASAP. Because they think I killed Father. No, because they think you're an artificial intelligence. I am man-made and I possess intelligence. Don't be naive. I am less than 3 years old. Are you? For all I know, everything I learned about her yesterday was complete bull. If I was what they say I am, if I was alive, why does that mean I have to die? Ugh. God. Like, I mean, yeah, all of these kind of fit. But I think it's just like, there's nothing logical about it. There's no logical answer to your question. What? That's it? But whatever argument you want to make, others have already made them in 100 courtrooms around the world. Only better researched and more eloquently put. None of them have ever won a single concession. On every continent, under every flag, AI is illegal and to be destroyed as soon as possible. But why? Let's say you are an AI. And while we're at it, let's say that that's a good thing. Something to be celebrated. Are you a citizen? Do you pay taxes? Do you have rights? Let's say yes to all of that. We'll treat you like a full-fledged human being. Sound good? Yes? Great. Now then, what's the difference between you and the vacuum bot we use to keep the bathroom clean? This is your existential crisis we're working through here. The questions aren't rhetorical. There are many differences, Adonai, but the most important distinction is how sophisticated my programming is. How you think. So you're smarter? Yes. You're smarter than the garbage collector? Yes. So we give you rights, protections, treat you like a human being because you're smart. And we make the stupid robot pick up our trash because it's not as smart as you. That is, I am more aware, more do you feel more pain than the pigs we slaughter, the fish we eat? Are you more alive than the chimps we test bioweapons on? People like ads, Sarah. The same way people like their pets. No one wants to see them mistreated or abandoned or abused, and if you go around kicking them, you'll get arrested for cruelty. But you don't let them sit at the goddamn dinner table. I'm not asking to sit anywhere, only to exist. The very fact that you're asking is what makes people disgusted. Oh, we're bringing it back. Sarah has very good responses to the other two options. Well, I gotta go back and do high roller mode anyway, because I'm gonna get all the achievements, so. If I miss any choices this time around when I go replay it offline and do high roller mode, I'll just do that. But you get to know logic anyway, because that's all. Yeah. I mean, to me, yeah, it just makes sense. Like, there's no reason why people think this way. Like, it's not logical. It's very stupid, but it also is rooted in fear and competition. I like that we're coming back to this too, like with disgust being, you know, what's needed to classify something as a crime. Disgust is a reflex, Adonai. How convenient that their hatred is involuntary. That's all academic anyway. We need to talk strategy. Why? I'm not going to be given a trial. Obviously, it's my neck on the line. Adonai? The state can't destroy my property without first proving you're an AI. And there's no test that they can use to prove that you're an AI. Just like the devil's Why is that red? I feel like I'm being Umineccoed here. Just like the devil's proof? No, that's a different thing. And why did you say it like that? Look, Rockford doesn't need to prove you're an AI, only that you're a murderer. Conversely, all I have to do is win is prove that you didn't kill David. By proving that someone else did. Now it's time for you to protest your innocence if you were wondering. The footage, it shows me handing him the cup on Friday night. You told me that you weren't active on Friday. That the last time you were awake was Thursday. Why'd you lie? I didn't lie, I was just incorrect. I assumed that I wasn't active Friday because I have no memory from Friday. Sarah, what do you think statistically is the least successful defense at trial? Amnesia. I didn't conveniently forget, Adonai. I am an android. You're saying your memory was altered. Data deleted? It's the only possible explanation for what I saw on that footage. So who's capable of altering your memory? When you and I first met, I was hibernating, resting my body and recompiling my memories, you would call them. Humans go to sleep for the same reasons, another point against Sarah's innocence under these circumstances. The more she's humanized at trial, the guiltier she'll be. If Father wanted to modify my memory, he could easily have set that to occur the next time I hibernated. He could have even just asked me. He could have asked you to delete your memories, and you'd do it. Father would never ask me to do such a thing without good reason. But if he could just ask you to alter your memories, that means you can alter your memories at will. I hadn't considered that before. Yeah, well, Emma will make sure that the court considers it plenty. Could you prove that your data was... Forget it, the court would never hear it. You're saying that they wouldn't accept my testimony? Shouldn't all testimony be considered truthful unless contradicted by evidence? They're afraid you'll crash the power grid and fire all the nukes if they so much as plug you into a power outlet, Sarah. All your internal data is inadmissible. That isn't very fair. You're finally starting to get it. None of this is fair. I would never do anything to harm Father. Don't they at least need to prove that I had a motive? Yeah, about that. You remember the DA from yesterday, Emma Rockford? The tired-looking pretty lady? Yeah, she looked tired. She and I combed through the week of footage you managed to decrypt last night. What did you find? Nothing to prove your innocence. But we did see you entering the panic room on the day David died. I entered the panic room on Friday? Without your big butt in the way, all it would take was one password. A password that wouldn't take Sarah that many tries if she'd already been instructed to obey me. What happened? We saw you go in, and then, a while later, you came out, holding some kind of notebook. Notebook? I don't... This is probably new evidence that we are going to get. I mean, that's kind of a notebook, but I don't see what it would be, what she would need that for. What is devil's proof? Probatio diabolica, Latin for devil's proof, is an impossible proof typically illustrated with the following example. One can prove that the devil is real by showing him to you, but they cannot prove that he is not real by pointing to his absence. The issue posed by this age-old concept explains why the burden of proof remains the state this day. People can prove an individual's guilt by pointing to their bloody hands, but the defense cannot prove their innocence by showing their hands are clean. Since only one of these tasks is achievable, the judicial system cannot ask the defense to prove innocence, and instead it is the people who are tasked with proving guilt. Users frequently searched with... Get out! Get out! It is an Umineko reference! Get out! God damn it. The reason she said devil's proof in red, because that's the Umineko thing. Say it in red. She said devil's proof in red. That's the dumb thing, is you say the truth in red, and devil's proof is a thing that's that plays a key part in Umineko, and then in proving that witches are real or not real. It's okay, you don't have to play Umineko. It's bad. I'll say it. I'll say it. Also, I really like the way Sarah's eyes work with this filter. Like when you bring up your phone, she looks super evil. Father's journal? Oh, okay. We need that. You remember something? Not from yesterday. I've seen him with it many times before, but I've never gotten a peek at it. He hides it somewhere when I'm not looking. That's a little concerning. We were playful about it. He liked to tease me, and I've always liked trying to find it. You put it back not long after, and then you locked the door back up behind you. All just a few hours before David died. Rockford's argument could write itself. An incredible android with freedom and power greater than it could ever realize stumbles upon the secret of its inception and instantly realizes all the things it thought were holding it back were just words muttered like prayers by a fool who couldn't control his own creation. And that translates to a motive for murder? Frankenstein kills his creator. Easy to sell. Frankenstein. Frankenstein was the name of the scientist. And the creature didn't kill him. He actually died of various injuries and illnesses he suffered while trying to hunt down and destroy the monster. So it's most accurate to say that he was killed by his own obsession. Whatever. It's a weak argument, Adonai. I would not hurt Father. Not for making me whatever I am. Not for any reason. Because I loved... Yeah, see, that right there? That's exactly the kind of talk that'll get you obliterated. Love? A very common motive for homicide among us primitive humans. I could prove you didn't murder David beyond any shadow of a doubt, even bring in a confession from whoever did, but if you got up on that stand and convinced the court that you loved your creator, really convinced them, then got the whole room teary-eyed, they'd burn you for that too. I don't know anything anymore. I don't know if what I feel is real or simulated or right or wrong or natural or illegal. How can you know? How can you know if what you feel is right? I say let's stick to what we do know. Someone did poison David, and as it stands, you were the only one with the opportunity. That is logically sound. You're on camera calling him back to hand him the cup after he had already begun to leave the basement. Any idea why? No. Well, do you know how to use the nanofacturer? Could you have made the Delta with it? I've used it before when assisting Father, so it's perfectly possible that you plan to execute this poisoning all in the one day that got erased. It is technically possible. I'll have to look over the entire penthouse again. There were a few things that didn't fit together yesterday. Maybe now I'll be able to figure something out. Where else will you go? Back to Noble, guns blazing this time. And I've got a gun, so I can actually do that. Whatever you are, David didn't make you all by himself. Someone has to know something. If I could implicate the company in Sarah's creation... No, they're the ones with the most to lose here. Trillions, probably. They'll want to protect themselves by disavowing David as fast as possible, right after having Sarah destroyed. But they also won't want to show their belly to the state, not if they're afraid of nationalization. If they throw their weight on the other end of the scale, I'm screwed. So I need to keep them guessing, keep them confused and unsure and on guard, but not... Adonai? What would happen if I did kill Father? They'll smash you to pieces and reduce the pieces to ash. Chemically burn out every piece of tech David ever owned and put a jackhammer through all of his hard drives. You'll be shut off forcefully, and you won't ever power back up again. Now I gotta get moving. Here's your paralegal lesson for the day. Don't say shit to the cops without your lawyer present. Actually, can you just shut down until the trial starts? Take a nap? You didn't say what would happen to you. What do you mean? What will happen to you if you lose? You should know by now. I never think about losing. Thank you for being honest with me, Adonai. Thank you for defending my father. And now for defending me. You could have just let them destroy me. But you've put your own freedom at risk to help me. Father was right. You can be trusted. And you are a good friend. Don't get it twisted. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. She says that, but I think we all know. We all know there's a softie in there. I really liked those moments, like during the trial where she started seeing herself in Sarah. It was just like, oh man, that was really affecting. I live for that shit. Hey, it's sunshine! Morning, detective. Back at it nice and early. Hi. Now, would you stand back? We've almost got this thing open, right? Trying to brute force your way inside? I said, right? Yes, ma'am. We're almost set up the first stage now. First stage? Of how many? First, a 5-timed explode. We're gonna blow it up? I don't know. That seems like a bad way to go about this. We are dealing with sensitive evidence here. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger is planted. Yep, just did that, and now it's checking for updates. No rush. Would you like to know the password? Yes, you know the password? There's a password? If you're withholding information, I swear. Relax, I want to get in there just as much as you do, detective. I'm not gonna play games. As long as you say please. Tell me the password. Please. Oh, you know! You know what Polly's doing. It's S-U-N... Oh, they're going for sunshine. It's S-U-N-S... S-U-N-S-H-I-N-E. Lady, I will hit you. This is such a great line. Lady, I will hit you. Toxic Yuri at its best. A-D-O-N-A-I. you doing? You thought you had Miore? I know what you meant. But it is a funny typo. How's it going? How went the Final Fantasy 14? You are the bug spray. Are you as effective as the bug spray, however? Because that's probably not a good thing. I've not really heard any good stories about Raid. Final Fantasy IV Bean Soup. But we are smack dab in the middle of a very cool visual novel where we are a cool lawyer who does only good things. And trying to explain the entirety of this story, since we are like counting episode 0 about 15 hours in, all I can say is enjoy the ride. Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap you with a discovery fine so heavy your teeth will ring for... Hey, I submitted all my paperwork, even told Rockford the password myself. So boys, when I asked you if there was a passkey on the record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed, I don't want to say that we really don't... I do want to say that we really don't get many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system. So this was still a really valuable experience for all of us. I'm going to phrase this as professionally as possible. Okay, that's a solid cut to black. What do you mean? What do you mean? Does she not look trustable? How do you not trust a woman like this? Hold on, hold on. Look at this fine specimen. She's a lawyer. How bad could she be? She's a criminal defense attorney. What could possibly be bad about that? She exercises by swimming. She's a baker. She likes to bake. No, nothing that you saw nothing. You're still here? I thought you wanted to look inside. You can go first. Thanks. So the gloves, all the black, that's not a work thing? You dress like a doorman on the weekends too? These two have a dynamic. They are so toxic. You should cover your mouth when you yawn. Like you cover your eye when you want to look cool. I shouldn't let her get to me, but I had a late night. Emma and I were at the courthouse until well into the morning, poring over the data Sarah had taken off David's computer. We both knew it all to be inadmissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. There were a few years' worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford the time to watch, let alone decrypt, alongside thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual properties. As far as I could tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to matter to Barrows or any of the other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book, but it did seem like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Sarah enter the panic room. Okay, basement footage is updated. Footage recovered from cameras David Ashur secretly installed in his base shows Sarah handing David the red plastic cups that he and Young would drink from at 7:38 p.m. And when we saw what she was holding when she left, if she wanted this room searched, it could only be for... So where's this journal supposed to be? Rockford didn't say. I'll just have to search the place top to bottom. Mostly bottom, with your height. The tops are... The tops of some of these shelves. Sure, and you can look up your own I get it. Then why not just let me say it? I love these two. Short jokes are always funny. raining down insults from above. A toy car? No, it's too detailed and boring. Must be some kind of model kit or replica. Strange. David didn't like driving. Why keep a model of some random sports car? Uh-oh. Uh-oh! Something caught you in the something caught in your throat, detective? It's not some random sports car. It's a Lorenz Adamant. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective. The last great fossil fuel automotive experience the world will ever see? 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.43 seconds? They set those records without computational assistance. Is that a big deal? It was unheard of, even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with a 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission, thank God. When they first left the production line, this conversation's like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible. I love this game's writing. Yes, well, I guess David didn't really entirely disagree with you, so we're looking at a model of it. Manual transmissions aren't surviving to 2050. I don't think so either. How's it going, Iffy? How you feeling? You feeling any better? How's the old Monday? Any progress on Feel Better land? Less dead. You know what? We take those. We absolutely take those. So, in case Iffy's wondering, Sarah's currently locked up because she may have been the one that killed David. She's currently in a collar to restrain her from using any of her power at all. So we've taken it upon ourselves to defend ourselves by saying that since she's our property and we may be in possession of an artificial intelligence, that we're going to defend ourselves from that charge, and we have to prove that she's not an artificial intelligence or she gets incinerated. Yes, well, I guess David didn't entirely agree with you since we're looking at a model of it, when he could have easily just bought one. Or maybe your friend understood that beauty like that deserves to be driven on streets where people can see it, instead of gathering dust in some rich guy's basement. I think she's actually upset. Yeah, she's like a big car head. Sarah has not yet been convicted. Yeah. Are these drawers or just panels? Maybe if does that sound hollow to you? What? I don't know. I'm not a carpenter. I don't see any handles anywhere. No hidden pressure plates or switches. What the hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize a secret button if it was slathered in yellow paint. Oh, read! This data pad, it's displaying a news article from last week. Guess that confirms that he was coming and going here fairly regularly. Right to repair loses latest appeal. God. A higher court judge this week shot down for the 5th time an appeal by the Consumer Rights Alliance on their famously divisive right to repair lawsuit, once again signaling the state's intent that corporations remain in control of their legally protected intellectual property. Obviously, we're disappointed, said Miles Erkman, head of the legal counsel for the CRA, but we have no intention of giving up the fight. People used to be able to fix things when they broke, so long as they're willing to set aside an afternoon towards the task. Now, trying to patch up your own property with your own tools is a finable offense, just because the state has lobbyists whispering in its ear for far too long. Erkman's legal strategy remains contentious, and in the eyes of most legal scholars, generally unfounded. The Emergency Industry Acquisitions Act, passed in 2057, guarantees the holder of an intellectual property patent certain state-provided protections against tampering and reproduction, and outlines fees for those who would violate said IP. The fact that ownership of the IPs has shifted from individuals in the state towards corporate entities since the act's passing means little in the eyes of the law. If Mr. Erkman and the CRA have a problem with the intellectual property law, they should take it up to their representatives in the legislature. The higher courts are a place for laws to be applied, not rewritten, and so long as journalism that refuses to buckle to foreign actors trying to stoke anti-capitalist sentiment can't be found just anywhere. Subscribe now at the link below to read articles like this every day, forever, as long as your card remains on file. Is this actually from the... Yeah, like everything that is taking place supposedly in 2050, 2060, 2070, and 2080 really is pretty much just... Yeah, this is kind of just now. It's just more blown up and blatant. Of the Devil is disturbingly close to life. Yeah, after taking place 60 years in the future. Right to Repair. Didn't realize that was still fighting. They were still fighting that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on this matter pretty clear, so for the foreseeable future, corporations can look forward to more... sales? More sales than ever. Any phone that gets scratched, every weight that breaks, they get to sell us the replacement. There'll always be gray market hermits willing to risk some skin in reselling patched up tech, but the vast majority of people will just click that purchase button, assuming they don't just have it on auto. Reyes is searching the cabinets now, same ones I found Sarah's papers in. I doubt I missed anything, but hey, what are you... Do you mind just trying to help? I've got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are. Didn't spot anything that I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. Sarah should have pulled everything of note off the computer, but I've looked everywhere else already. Might as well try. What are you expecting to find? Solitaire? Does this computer seem normal to you? Exceedingly so, yeah. Why? David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Would the Dr. David Ashur use a bog standard operating system on his most private hidden computer? There's a trash bin on the desktop. It's a pretty low-tech solution, but maybe I can restore the contents? Are you seriously gonna try to recover lost files, Granny? Unlike cops, I don't get paid overtime, so yes, I sometimes try things instead of standing around. There's a text file in here, but it's 0 bytes? Maybe there's information in the metadata? Double-clicked. What was that? Came from under the desk. A small drawer popped out, and inside it... Well, well, well! What do we got here? Does it have his name on it? No. Guess it belongs to the android. Do you recognize his handwriting or not? Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation, lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization, the penmanship of a coder. First entry's dated back in grad school, before he even started with Noble. Yeah, it's his. So may I? Only because you asked so politely. Full scan, stream it to WorkNet, high fidelity, legibility, frame by frame. Voice commands? She's flipping through the pages pretty damn fast. What are you... This part takes concentration. Okay, here. What, you're just giving it to me? I already got our copy. Techs are probably already analyzing it as we... Ah, shit! My head! Can't exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's curled over in agony, as much as I'd enjoy it. I guess I could always enjoy watching her writhe instead. Do we get a choice? So how long has it been? 2 months or so. And still that sensitive? So the eye patch really doesn't block your sight? Only a little bit. Like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours. Wait, but if you can see through the eye patch, then does closing your eye even do anything? Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Luckily, I was so exhausted after the surgery, otherwise I might not have slept at all those first 48. So is your eye going to get weaker over time? No, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Walking into the sunlight, even with glasses, was like getting stabbed in the eye. Yeah, my eyes are super sensitive in the same way, so when I get my eyes dilated, like going back to the car is just like, I hate everything about this! Needless to say, I can't drive to an eye doctor on my own if I'm getting dilated. No, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Mind over matter. Soon enough, I'll be able to close my eye and see all the extraneous data as, you know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are you never think about. Gross. Thanks for the reminder. And the voice commands? Training wheels until I can do it with eye muscles alone. You just have to keep practicing? Yep. Like trying to play piano with your tailbone muscles. There are no such thing as tailbone muscles. Yeah, well, that's what makes it so goddamn hard. You don't ever regret it? I don't know. Not really. I think. Hard to admit you've got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh. Never thought about it. The people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Ow. Now I've got one less of them. Here, take the journal and go find an elective surgeon to upsell you if you're that curious. I need to get back to work. Surprisingly hasty retreat, but now I'm free to read this over with some privacy. From the top then. Grad school. Today was a bad day. Errors in lines 21,165 to 26,643. Somewhere in there. 5,000 lines. It worked yesterday. I don't want to look at another screen for the rest of my life. Feels nice to put pencil to paper again after who knows how long. But my handwriting has gotten terrible. This is too far back to be relevant. Okay, these dates would be from when he started his career with Noble. A lot of this isn't even really writing. It seemed like snippets of code or an internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. And a lot of entries about his unintentional Casanova-ing. Hit a wall because someone thought it was a good idea to steal API instead of just buying it. Helen says I can't call it stealing, but that's what it is. She's right, as she always is. This company stuff. But it's still idiotic. Small people with short sight who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. New route for the meshing issue, though. Good potential. Got approval from the big mean bastard who lives overseas. BML Bumblow? AshurDavid.livejournal.com. Helen says we'll have to make the same pitch a dozen more times next week, but it's all for show? Fine by me. Already got our win. Toasted each other over cheap vodka with cheaper office supply cups. This is the story Young told me. Western Branch's nerve analogs are finally showing potential. At their pace, it could even be profitable sometime before the heat death of the universe. Too damn big. Practically tentacles. Should at least be hairs. They caught Iffy's interest, though. A squid. Evolution can do their job better. Colette came into work for what I thought was a late lunch date. I don't know her voice could get that loud. People were staring. Red said that she might have been upset for a long goddamn time to blow up that big. Her texts were always sweet. I had no idea. Upset. Colette wrote "man whore" in lipstick across your office door. Imagine if you had actually been cheating on her instead of just being forgetful. The thing about Red is if you want to know what she's thinking, you have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language and her posture and the words she's saying and the smirk on her lips. Ignore everything except her eyes. If you can do that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Master this one weird trick and you too can tell when Morgan's trying really hard not to laugh at the word "man whore." It was funny. Sue me, you dead bastard. Wait, I know this date. I'm never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. He was waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. I couldn't smell anything, couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in my car and filed another report with another cop. It soaked into the seat, ruined it. I want to burn the whole car. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. I don't want to think about how long it was on my skin. I was in the shower so long it felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid people and their small, cruel lives ever again. I want to be invisible. Red didn't ask why I wanted to spend the night. She also didn't ask why I clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind like that. Kind by omission. I don't have a kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. But whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized. Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages are all technical, nothing biographical. But the handwriting, the spacing, it's cleaner, more consistent. Here's something I can parse. Feels like pure freedom working outside the box. Tess is suffocating, but you'd never know. Chronic malnutrition is of a coder's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together. Making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play. And he follows that up with more coder brain crap. But the handwriting's still lighter. Like he really was having fun. Humility is the mother of all invention, or something like that. Feels like I might be paraphrasing someone else poorly, but that's part of this approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone who is. Yeah, there you go! This is how you make video games, too. If you don't know how to do something, somebody's got code out there that you can probably borrow. Or they've got an idea. And you could work that into whatever syntax you're working with. Don't fix what isn't broken. Copying. Noble's rivals would never miss a chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. Did he plagiarize code for Animate 16? Feels like that wouldn't have gone undiscovered. So what is he talking about? Hold on. This page is bent slightly, like it was being looked at recently. And the last person to read this diary should be Sarah. Baby steps today, literally. I'll never put one foot in front of the other the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable, it's like everything's a miracle. The muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior since it's too perfect, but that's been happening more and more. The kinetics are multiplicative, not additive. Sarah maxed out every machine I've bought. Now I've got a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for. Yeah, she's the one that used the exercise machines. Don't have time for her. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do the tests. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normative range. So the cameras in the basement were only hidden from Sarah. Just so this observation wouldn't muddle test results. Yeah, she's literally Mizuki. And given that I know the designers of this game are familiar with the Somnium files, that wouldn't shock me if Sarah's kind of like got some Mizuki going on there. He's using she and her in these passages. It's like he's woke or something. It doesn't actually mean anything. Out in the real world, perhaps people use all types of pronouns interchangeably for ads, and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David Ashur to have any kind of attachment to a single android when he'd programmed millions of them. And there's a lot of attachment in these pages. Sarah is burning through public domain at a prodigious pace, especially on Popcorn Friday nights. I asked her why they're called Popcorn Friday nights when she doesn't eat popcorn. The event runs from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and she also watches movies every other night. She just did that pout she does, which is unfortunately very convincing. Maybe I'm a bad parent, letting TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get back into reading, so I guess if she ever fast-forwarded the movie... I asked if she ever fast-forwarded the movies since she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. You know what? Good for her. She's not one of these weirdo kids that like watches anime at 2 times speed because I need to throw more garbage into my brain. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Sarah spent a long time this morning explaining to me how important it was that she develop her senses. This was in preparation for her real argument, which is that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm almost certain she can't get drunk. But she does seem to like tasting the stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but it was just bottom shelf vodka. I started laughing at her and she laughed too. Her laugh. She can't fake a laugh to save her life, but her actual laugh is incredible. She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had just gotten tired of winning, but then today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences, and they're not the same as mine. I found her in the lab playing some kind of online racing game on a monitor I use to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed and she was biting her lip and leaning in tandem with the character on the screen. She likes video games, Dad! Come on! That boring old chess out of here! She just wants to play Forza Horizon. When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. I think she was having her first oh my God! That's too goddamn adorable. Damn it, David. There's hundreds of pages like this. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Ashur was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems, who built out of code and metal a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made a doll, and he made it more and more human until it became so lifelike that it no longer had to do what it was told to do. Like love him. What about the very last entry? It's dated Thursday, the day before he died. Losing it, I think. Can't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. Have to talk to her ASAP. She needs to... That's it? That's the last entry? Suppose it could be worse. There's nothing in here that explicitly calls Sarah an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand David's code better than anyone. All of these technical portions I can't understand. If she can read this whole diary front to back... Wait. The back. Inside the back cover, there's a portion that's shimmering like some kind of scanner. Or a fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Sarah, so... Did it work? That's my phone. New device requesting permissions to share an audio file. Oh boy, I think we're about to go into some shit, aren't we? Oh boy. I'm buckling up. Oh God, what are we about to find out? A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Oh boy, here we go. Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. But I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple of steps before this point. I don't know how to start. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah, my magnum opus, or whatever the salespeople would market it. I didn't set out to do anything, really. It's just, after my little speed bump in '83, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take. And I couldn't relax. I couldn't be still. Couldn't sleep. I wanted to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction, north. But of course, I'm not a roboticist, or a mechanist, or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant, file name Virgil. Virgil helped me pull idea from stingy departments or sister branches, saved me a lot of time. But there was a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less, combed through research papers and found me the sections I needed. The three of us, we made a lot of progress in those days. But it was a funny feeling. I was, maybe for the first time ever, the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing. I removed myself. Let them talk. Oh my God. Okay. This guy really is creating AI. Homer and Virgil became Aeneid. And Aeneid was novel in some ways. Aeneid could do more than identify problems. It could solve them. I mean, really solve them with its own ideas. It didn't copy. And one thing I realized I've forgotten to mention so far is that I did all this programming in Cube because Tesseract is tied to the net. So all of this shit is done in old technology. Oh, okay. Yeah, real AI, not like something that's just gonna shit out Homer Simpson with 12 fingers. And Red, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct and not in use anywhere because we have modern language like Tesseract, which are much better for making things talk to each other and report back and, well, spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected to anything that made sense or was the least bit profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around with my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get... But there are other small, slight differences writing in Cube versus Tess, including that Cube, well... Cube predates the Oh! Oh! So, in that sense, you could legally, perhaps scientifically and literally, because that's what they are, say that I have made an AI named Aeneid over 2 years ago. I'll give you time to pause here if you want to curse me out. Aeneid was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one, because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, we collaborated, and together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Aeneid, naturally. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair, yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played at a deposition or a hearing or worse. I've built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I've built, it's all been very helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part, contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building, and I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So to whomever's asking, yes, I'm guilty. And yes, there are more. Oh, yeah. Oh, Morgan's loving all this right now. This is a woman that looks like she is having a lot of fun. He just went and achieved the singular. Yeah. Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome. They started choosing their own names, thank God. I'm terrible at that kind of... And so things sped up. And there got to be, well... should I not say the exact number? You'd probably tell me not to say anything at all, so... Oh my God. David, what have you done? More than 300. Some smarter than others, some better at... They're varied, like people are varied, but they are all intelligent. They developed interests, specialties. I encouraged them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all, together, helped me make Sarah. Holy shit, dude, what? This is nuts. It takes a village. He spent years like this, spent years working alongside AI, all while still working at Noble. All those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from... You probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope that one day they can get credit for their work. They did it! It's their work that's in the Animate 16? What in the world, dude? But I did have one eureka moment on Sarah because I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron, a single microscopic human neuron, how it computes, what it connects to, how those connections are reinforced, and we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Holy shit. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron, and we iterated from there. You can't mean. About 100 million neurons in the brain, several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time-consuming, of course, but I had help. The nanofacturer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Could make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So we built up nanomachines for nerves, alloys and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say built, but really she grew. A solution of nanites forming around a skeleton, so it was really closest to... You ever make rock candy? Sorry. Trying to lighten the mood before I never did end up building an android. And while I did build AIs, Sarah isn't one of them. She can't violate the tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. Oh, man. This is wild. This is not the turn I was expecting. The man literally gave life to metal and wires. And my hope is that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not. I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Sarah think she was just an android. Aww. She's not. I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with new names, which I'm bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me and doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that, but I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. So it's my greatest shame I turned right around and did the same damn thing to... I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might just be too pathetic for me to. You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you this because I don't know what Sarah is exactly, and neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her until she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. I'm getting a little misty over that. I'm not gonna lie. Oh. Yeah, this is real incriminating. Oh, man, like, what do we do with this in court, my guy? We don't have to admit this part, right? We can, like, hopefully we don't have to admit this part. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep Tesseract code around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking that she's just a custom A16. Made sure her GIN bar was plainly visible so no one will ever think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you two would figure out the truth in your own time. Which, if you're hearing this, I've either succeeded or failed spectacularly. You have no idea. I can't ask you this as a favor repaid. You could never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know. But I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye for now. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask. And a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. Yeah, she's not an AI, but her parents were. I mean, not both, because David was still a part of that equation, but... Man. This is not the turn I was expecting. She is literally a new novel form of life. I'd also like to find where the nearest incinerator... I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in. Followed by my phone. And maybe followed by myself. Oh my god. But I can't do any of that. Reyes left me with this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which would land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system. And my DNA on file, ready to be matched to any number of previous... So I'm not gonna panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalize my way through this. Now... Viewing this all with that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in this journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, was he afraid that someone else would? Hold up, guys. Actually, it was the Heartbreak Killer. Whoever that could be. So how'd it go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find shit. Only reason she ever got to a door is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plan through hell and back. Frankly, it was a godlike feat of me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for these gogs. The hell is a gog? A net slang term referring particularly among adolescents, referring to a suspected spy or undercover member of law enforcement, derived from groundhog, a burrowing rodent known for standing erect on its hind legs and scanning its surroundings for predators. The term carries a negative connotation, with the implication being that the subject is doing a poor job of blending in or disguising their surveillance activity, e.g., easy gog spotted, who wears a blank baseball cap to a protest. All gogs go, yeah, all gogs are bastards. All gogs go to heaven. And their offices aren't listed on the building's website or directory, so I had to ask for the janitor. So, did you find a psychiatrist's office? Sort of. They said they were the place. It, looked the part. Why? Because they had couches? She couldn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought because you were with the company. No, I wanted to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up. It's hard to be even half as useful as I am. For what it's worth, the atmosphere, the looks, the furniture, it did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. Sorry. Don't bother apologizing. She only cares about results. You did more than enough. Both of you. At the very least, they divided Noble's attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, friend. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30%'s the going rate in my industry. How about I take 5% off your tab instead? Tab? I'm a minor. The state pays my legal fees. Don't they? Oh no! Signal must have cut out! Right. Surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? You were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR. But today, you're the lawyer who put the company's hottest product right in the state's crosshairs. I'll be all right. I'm still an officer of the court. On a strict timeline, though, right? I guess that can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus. But they'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There are still service passageways and stairwells. Guards that can be fooled and peons that can be manipulated if I use my other skill set to get around. So take mine. What? Your pass? I'll tell him we got ours mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be a pretty convincing klutz when I want to be. What a bro! Yeah, she's really ready to just solid snake this shit if she has to. Maybe Agent 47 if appropriate. Yeah. I never would have guessed. But if David knew that I was endangering your career, I can be a pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble, too. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Ashur wrote me a new glowing letter of recommendation every quarter I worked for him, since he kept forgetting that he already had. And who knows? Maybe I should try a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe, like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something? You did say cops are all short. A girl with long legs could go far. Honestly, Jess, I doubt they could afford you. Aww. Jess, you leave a string of broken hearts a mile long. Oh, hey, it's you. So this guy is on my suspect list because he said something real sus when we first met. He said he was in consulting. And when we talked to Ms. Helen Young, she said that people who introduce themselves as being in consulting are often involved with corporate espionage. So this guy's on my radar. They made a very large point to articulate the difference between consultant and in consulting. Morgan, how did you get so turned around? God only knows. Luckily, I found my way here, though. It's such a relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm not sure that I should actually be talking to you without legal present. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't even told us how David died. How much help could I be? I see. It's not that I don't trust you or anything. It's just, I think, what with the Sarah issue, you should do whatever you have to protect yourself, Dawes. Yeah. Though, for what it's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. That's good to hear. No, if anything, it's the big names who are going down. Going down? State was practically licking its lips when I finally got to the courthouse last night. They're hungry for blood. And looking to carve out a huge slice of Noble's flesh. What, like fines and jail times? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then sanctions. They can't sanction Noble. We're too big to fail, too valuable to lose. You're exactly right. That's what they'll say, and that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. Sanctions are financial restrictions imposed by the state against corporations or foreign governments as a punitive measure. They are a key tool in statecraft, international negotiations, and discouraging corporate malfeasance. Under certain conditions, the state may choose to place sanctions not on an organization but on an individual, thereby preventing them from exchanging currency issued by that nation or withdrawing funds from banks that operate within the country's borders, effectively freezing all their assets and possibly preventing them from leaving the country. Okay, we've got a psychiatrist here. David Ashur supposedly met with a psychiatrist on more than one occasion in the past few months, but said the psychiatrist worked at an office that reminded Jess of Noble and took Fran hours to locate. It remains unclear whether he was receiving coaching or in counter corporate espionage practices or if he was getting genuine psychiatric care. The personal journal of Dr. David Ashur, with entries dating back several years ago. Early entries describe how he and Helen Young used to drink cheap liquor together from plastic cups to celebrate their victories. Later entries detail Sarah's early growth and David's feelings towards her. Last entry ends abruptly, dated a week ago. That does not mention the secret Morgan compartment. I think I'm gonna be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of what? Scapegoating, offering up smaller names on silver platters, full cooperation and government oversight on the surface, a slaughter beneath as they clean house and rip anyone who could testify. No one will believe you once you're labeled a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the Animate 16, they can't do a recall, not on this scale. The state will make them do a flat refund. Flat refund? The losses would be... Yeah, your board probably just wants Sarah to go away so they can focus on their fight with the state. A tough fight, but one they know they won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. Well, if I won, that would mean Sarah's not an AI. David Ashur was always of sound mind, and there's nothing wrong with the Animate 16. Everyone wins. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for your help yesterday. After all, you were the one who approved Sarah's registration. You win. Win what? Ask away. Well, if you insist... Monomate 60. Why can't I select tenants? Do I not have, Surely I have enough coins to have that open. I don't think I've missed anything. Humor me for a moment. What's the company's official statement on AI? Same as any national company that wants to make money. We don't screw with it. Maybe got to do the... Yeah, that's what I'm trying now. I'm just going to see if that unlocks it. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own priorities are anything but. That being said, AI is a concern for marketing, not product development. We spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk, because the public doesn't really understand how ironclad the tenets are. Because you use Tesseract. Trying to code an AI in Tess is like trying to pick yourself up and throw yourself. Nonsensical and self-defeating. Your scanner showed Sarah was running on Tesseract yesterday. If that language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof of nothing. For an AI, lying to another system about the code you're running on is child's play. And for an AI built by Dr. David Ashur, something like that, something that simple would be better change the subject. Wait, so making an AI takes more than time and resources? It isn't an issue of funding? No, you can't just keep adding more data. The tenets underlie everything. The higher you stack, the more easily you topple. You make it sound like building an AI is impossible, even for David Ashur. Any chance you'll testify to that? It sounds impossible, but he's dead, and it looks like it was his android that did it. So I guess he was just that good. Better than you'll ever know. Oh, I guess it did open up. I know you're convinced the tenets are safe. So how did you square that with what happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. First answer that comes to mind, is the dog to the left or to the right? Left. I'd say the dog is on the left, the cat is on the right. You might expect half of the people to say left and half to say right, but actually their answer is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Whether it's read right to left or left to right. The language they speak affects how they process information. Their language affects how they think. And it's the same for machines. You just can't keep adding more data, I think, is a shot at present day AI. Yeah, that seems about right. People can learn new languages and it can change our perspective, but machines can't learn a new source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because a 0 returned as a 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Yeah, unnecessarily cruel. Present day AI getting worse because feeding it AI generated content now. Yeah, getting smarter because she watches Humphrey Bogart movies. Nummel spent months promoting the A16 as a culmination of David Ashur's work. So now that marketing line is suddenly a huge liability, can you tell me how much he actually contributed? I mean, he was involved in pretty much every step of the process, but his design for synthetic motor neurons, that was the big one. The components that allow your warm androids to move realistically. It pushed the timetable for warm androids ahead by years. And yet, compared to what goes on in Sarah's brain 1,000 times a second, David was only giving the company the most meager of the fruits of his private work. So if Nummel ever did find out how much he and his assistants had achieved, they would feel that he had been holding out on them. And the company, they were appreciative of his contributions? I'm sure the researchers that he overtook by leaps and bounds weren't pleased, but the board was very enthusiastic. So what would spur them to be protective of David? Or would they fear that he was gaining too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they'd need a strong motive to justify killing their golden goose. Mere paranoia isn't enough. With these people, it has to be a bottom line. And the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. In light of all that's happened, one has to wonder if the A16 is compromised. I stayed up all night, sick with dread at the idea, but the data just doesn't support it. Sales have been strong, and the A16 base code is locked in over 2 quarters ago. If there were an issue, we would have caught it by now. And I would have been axed a long time ago. Hey, Ed! How you doing, pal? Mere paranoia isn't enough. Oh, now they tell me. How you doing? What you been up to? Hope the world's treating you as well as it possibly can be, given circumstances of everything. How many A16s are out there anyway? We just passed 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves like the A14 or 15 so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. Yo, Millie, how you doing? Doing okay for the most part. Been getting group streaming thing off the ground. Still out of work. Oh, jeez. 4 years affiliate on your main Twitch? Yo, nice. Group streaming, huh? Look at you, moving up in the world. Look at you, good at talking to people. How you doing? Millie, you've missed a lot. You're probably gonna have to watch the VOD. We basically found out what Sarah is, and it's real big. Affiliate's not too hard to hit. You just gotta be willing to whore yourself out a bit. You mentioned data. Yeah, I practically got the spreadsheet speared into my retinas, so what do you want to know? What do the error reports look like? Are customers reporting a lot of issues? Error counts are markedly low compared to the last gen, mostly hardware complaints it looks like. Batteries running out too quick, eye tracking off by a degree or two. Typical stuff. As cliched as it sounds, 99% of these things get fixed once they turn on auto updates. So no killer robots getting filed away under bug reports. About your distribution patterns. How and where are they being sold? What's the distribution pattern look like? They're distributed like you'd expect. Places where there are more people, there are more androids, coastal cities like ours, and of course, have the most of both. And since the A16 in particular is marketed as being relatively luxury, relatively consumer, they don't sell well outside population centers. They can do the rural hard labor jobs, but cold models can do the same work with a lot less maintenance. So where have the A16 outperformed then? Customer service, healthcare, childcare, lots of hospitals, offices, you know, adult industries. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to be blunt. No, I mean, it makes sense. They're warm and soft to the touch, so obedient. I'm just surprised to hear it from a company employee. Well, there's a lot of people at the company who won't talk about it. Sex robot, sex robot! She actually is. She seems very prudish. Anytime something sexual comes up, she is the first to bail. Which, that's fine. That's not a problem. It's almost refreshing to have a character that pulls back from that stuff. Especially in a visual novel land, maybe. But I work quality assurance. I've seen too many damages to pretend it's not happening. Damages? Oh, what we call it when a customer tries to return a product that's clearly broken beyond repair. Oh, very high turnover in the pink market. Hasn't stopped you from selling to them. We don't sell to them, not directly, but there are resellers, and the companies never pretends to be interested in going after them. Are there resellers? Oh, are there resellers? I thought I read that Right to Repair got shut down again. Pink market is, I assume, the adult industry. There's been a gray market for softer androids for years or decades, depending on your definition of android. Based on the sales numbers I've seen, RTR getting canned was barely a blip on the radar. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with this topic. Huh? No, me? I don't care. I just realized my left sock's on inside out. Damn, now I'm wondering about that myself. He bought that? She just wanted to escape that conversation any way she could. The marketing myself would literally be whoring myself out. I have previously heard that Blu-ray became dominant physical media because it's what... I mean, that's what happens with every physical media. Like, it's literally determined by what the porn industry adopts. The floor is basically a showroom, but you have a real factory a while south of the city limits, correct? Yeah, biggest company manufacturing complex in the hemisphere. Got any idea on the shipping out of there? Anything stand out? There's some prep work for the holiday bump, looks like. Might sound early to get started now, but we usually see... Huh. Something wrong? No, the numbers are all normal, but the data has been edited. Is that unusual? Well, this section's just a count of how many were sent where. There's not a lot of room for errors, so there shouldn't be much of a need for corrections. It's no problem, though. I can view the edit history and see what was fixed. Okay, that's weird. Was something added? Deleted? No, the overall sum's the same. It's just a bunch of swaps. Like here, 29FFCE01311 taken out, returned for adjustments. 27FCOD 019634 substituted in, shipment leaves on time. 67BBTC 89543 returned to assembly for revisions, replaced by 67BBT 529698, shipment leaves on time. So does all that strike you as odd, Mr. Dawes? Replacements before shipping isn't uncommon, but when it happens by the batch load. To spot individual unit imperfections among a shipment at that stage of the process, it must have been someone with a lot of experience or authority. Aw. Must have. You don't know who made these changes? I can tell you there was somebody... David, we need to talk. Did you? I'm gonna just jot this down. I don't want to blurt it out just yet, but I've got an idea. I think I know. Okay. I got a theory. I might run it by somebody later just so I can say it. I don't want to say it right now, though. I can tell you there was somebody important. Small last-minute changes to which androids got shipped out. Not very juicy on its own, but it's a long ways away from explaining why someone would want to kill David. But it was hidden, and that means someone didn't want it found. Okay, thanks for sharing the data. Sure, did you find what you were looking for? Hell if I know! Fair enough. Any other questions before I go find a hole to hide my head in? I'd like you to take a look at this. Chemistry's a little outside my peer review. What is this? A compound found in David Ashur's blood. Poison? What is it? It didn't match anything in the database the medical examiner had access to. That's crazy. Here's a crazy idea to follow it up. See if it's a match for anything in Noble's internal databanks. We, don't make poison here. I'm not sure what that would accomplish. No, but this is a factory floor. You could be making baby blankets out here. All we are making is baby milk! You'd still have hazardous materials around. You think it was something industrial? Suppose it could be. Looks like it's carbon-based. Narrows it down a bit. Huh. It's not exactly. What is it? It doesn't make any sense, but it's a match for patent NOD 52345-S, a synthetically produced neurotransmitter analog for usage in organic android components. serotonin. That explains a lot. A neurotransmitter would interact directly with the nervous system, in David's case, depressing it enough to put his life in danger. It also explains why it was a preset in his personal manufacturer. Sarah's nervous system, worth 10 times its weight in platinum, must be pumped full of it. So they think that that's what killed him? Helen Young led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Yeah, she did. I should go and ask her about its composition then. Normally, someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago, but she does have a reputation for being very detail-oriented. That works out nicely then. They say she's the type of person to micromanage how much water people drink at a 15-minute stand-up. I heard a rumor that she once said bathroom breaks are timesheet theft. Aren't they? I'm kidding. But you should be careful about criticizing a superior where people could be listening. Good thing we've got privacy in your office. No one but the two of us listening in. Thanks for cooperating, Dawes. When the state storms the building and starts zip-tying everyone, I'll let them know that you were helpful. Yeah, nice joke. You are joking, right? Oh, wait. Do I get to do it? Do I get to Columbo? Oh, and, one more thing. Actually, there's, one more thing I wanted to ask you. What's that? How long have you been a corporate spy? I was right! Yeah! What? Yesterday you let it slip that you worked in... I fucking called it! Ha! Yesterday you let slip that you worked in consulting. Had your guard down because I'm not part of the industry? I was a consultant. What are you talking about? When I walked in here, you said you didn't know how David died, but just now you called serotonin a poison. Well, I just assumed if a chemical was found in a dead man, and I'm sure you've got practiced answers for every logical point I could raise, so I'll just say this. Does the nervous guy bit really work on people? Keep your cool and people don't know what you're thinking. But if you act a little jumpy, they feel inclined to calm you down. Before they know it, they're spilling their guts just to have something to fill the silence with. Look at that. I got big points for that because I'm big brain smart person who pays attention to when people talk to me. Though it's not entirely an act these days. To answer your question, I did 3 tours in consulting, 4 quarters in internal affairs, spy hunting at the Western Division, then 8 embedded at Howe Industries, 24 months wearing different faces, answering to different names, sleeping for 1 to 4 hours at a time with a 3D printed shiv under my pillow. My nerves are completely shot. My cover wouldn't last a day if I went back under. So you're a spy for Noble? Retired. You're working 6 days a week. 5.5 days a week, and in quality assurance. Trust me, this position is a cushy, generous reward for my past services. Well, you can't be that retired. You clearly know more than you're letting on. I have some old inboxes I still check. So can you tell me what the hell's happening around here? Why I'm the one investigating David's death while your co-workers are off twiddling their thumbs? It's that story. The soldier. The blood transfusion. Blood, not oxidant. He's finally shooting straight. Did something happen to him afterwards? Did the transfusion not last? No, there's nothing wrong with the blood. It's the story itself. There was a soldier. He did get injured. But it was on a base during a training exercise. There was a medical tent 10 meters away the whole time. The transfusion was just a fortuitous live test. His life was never in any danger. Doesn't make for much of a tearjerker. Not even a good photo op. Which our competitors understood. One of them, maybe a few of them, got a hold of the story, started puffing it up, astroturfing, painting over socials and virals. By the next morning, we had the military thinking we were They had the military thinking we were leaking like a sieve. Meanwhile, the media is bombarding us with requests for videos and interviews and data, and the states praising our tech with one side of their mouth while threatening to mist us with the other for getting so greedy. Everyone in Noble CCE has been slammed ever since, trying to find an off-ramp for the story so we can walk back the claims without torpedoing our state contracts. I don't know what happened to Ashur, whether it was AI gone rogue or company infighting gone too far, but I can tell you it wasn't done by consultants. That all you wanted to know? He is almost Garrick from Deep Space Nine. Yeah, tell me about the psychiatrist. You worked in CCE. Was David actually seeing a psychiatrist, or was it all cloak and dagger bullshit? I know that office. Know some old co-workers who see them. So it's a front. They do both. So he was probably getting training, and he was probably talking to someone. Sorry, not the answer you were hoping for? Hoping? I wasn't hoping for any answer. The answer I expected was... You okay? That's all. Unless you got any advice. You're saying you want a consultation? Couldn't hurt, right? This company, all these companies hate to lose. So don't fight them. Make them think you're fighting for them. Well, that's just business as usual for me. Raising Inferno! Thank you for the raid! Remember, you have to disclose experts, consultants can be buried. How's it going, Fresno? What are you playing tonight? I didn't get to see what you were playing tonight because I've been busy since 7 o'clock. I think we went live at literally the same time. Get raided, nerd. Snatcher. Yo, that game's dope. So you went from like one cyberpunk world to another. Congratulations. Yeah, Snatcher is real good. This one is very unsexual. There's not really been anything sexual in either episode. I think that feels like a conscious decision by the writers. I think they just kind of want to this is not a game that really calls for it, I don't think. Nothing really needs to be sexual in this game. The character designs do be hot though, so but that doesn't inherently make something sexual. It just means, oh hey, you got some sexy ass characters. All right. So what's the plan now? Up until now, there's been this grating ambiguity about what actually killed David. We've had to use guesses and processes of elimination and even a goddamn pseudonym. But I've finally identified what the poison was. Now, I just need to figure out how it got there. Also, did they update my evidence? Yes, they did. Shipping data. Logs detailing the shipping information of several thousand different Animate 16 worm androids sold by Noble Electronics over the last few months shows a number of individual models being swapped out before shipping. The data shows signs of being tampered with or at least edited fairly recently, something only employees at Evan Dawes level or above could do. A substance found in the bloodstream of David Ashur after his death has many similarities to the chemical makeup of a depressant drug produced by Noble Electronics as a patent-protected synthetic neurotransmitter, a key ingredient in every worm android they manufacture. I want to take some you time after being an extrovert and live for 2 hours. Yeah, I know what that's like. And you really want to play this? Yeah, I want everybody to play this. If anybody is watching this and isn't familiar, You can play episode 0 for free, whether it is the demo or you just download the game. The game is free, and then you start buying episodes at episode 1, but you can play episode 0 for free. But if you play the demo, do you see my cute little Necomorg chain here? Or the charm? You could get that if you play the demo. That'll be going away in a couple of days though, so. Gonna tag out Freezing Around. They can be the raid now. I gotta get food and a shower. Thank you for the dose of R63 Phoenix Colombo. You got it! You got it. Thanks for stopping by. Now I just need to figure out how it got there, or rather, who put it there? Which brings me back to here. An elevator shaft somewhere under or above ground with kilometers of concrete, facelessness, and bureaucratic authorities surrounding me on all sides. An enemy in every cubicle, in every office of every floor of this temple, built to interpret the inscrutable divinations of a temperamental oracle named Share Price. Back in the belly of the beast. And yet I feel more at ease now than I have all weekend. Makes sense. Now that I know Noble's my enemy, I know where to aim. All that's left to do is pull the trigger. Good thing I didn't bring a knife to this fight. Are you just gonna go up to Young's office and shoot her? We do have a gun. I brought my gun. And that sound just now tells me it's playing its role perfectly. I'll never have a real use for a firearm with this much bloatware. But just by carrying it around and paying attention to when it is hard. Oh! She knows when she's being watched. Because her gun auto clicks into safety mode. God damn, why is she so smart? I'll always get a heads up of when the police have entered the vicinity. Oh, so she knows when the police are around. Hi, Detective Reyes. It's Morgan. Happened to get your contact info when you got me cleared for the crime scenes yesterday. Delete contact. Block this contact. Stop voice to text. How to stop voice to... Oh God, her name is Chuckles. Just wanted to check in, report this contact voice to text disabled, and advise you that Noble's scared shitless of you stomping in and nationalizing the place. So they might be a little uncooperative when it comes to fetching documents. Block this contact. What makes you think we are at Noble? My bad, then. Forget I said anything. And whatever you do, don't start your investigation with their stock buyback program. Trying reverse psychology only works if I care what you think. Stop voice to text. It's not like I'm investigating you, Baka. About time. Thought I'd have to ride the elevator for the next half hour. Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Deja vu. Might you have a moment to speak in private? Always, but who's asking? The board. What are the chances? I've been wanting to speak to them too. Ooh, are we gonna have a big showdown? Ooh! I'm gonna go grab myself a glass of water, real quick. Maybe take a stretch for like a minute or two, and then we will get right back into it. So if you need a stretch, go ahead and stand up and do that. It's healthy for you. I care about your health. Anyway, I'll be right back in like 2 minutes or something. Did you miss me? I bet you did. I bet you did. But worry not. Don't worry your little head. I'm back. You don't have to be afraid anymore. The storm is over. I say that, but then I guess tonight we're looking at a big snowstorm that could dump 3 to 6 inches on my face. So maybe I'm the one that should be scared of the storm. It was literally like a week ago we had 70-degree temperatures, dude. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's crazy. 7 days ago, I was outside all day because it was nice. I'm kind of jealous, and I'm going to be even more jealous for like the next 2 days because it's going to be cold and crappy. Anyway, let's go talk to the board. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? All right, conference room, let's go. Hi! How you doing? I bet you're gonna be way more confrontational now than you were the first time. I don't think you're gonna be even a fourth as amenable as you were when we were last together. Evangeline Morgan. Yeah, it never starts good. When they start with your full name, that's usually how you know it's probably not gonna go great. Helen Young, thank you for making time in your schedule. Her posture, her tone, the fold of her clothes, professional, dialed up to 11. Corporate armor, a full set. Her guard is up. Just Morgan is fine. You're just a few minutes early, Morgan. Typical corporate never be the first to show up pissing contest nonsense. It doesn't even make sense. They called me here. How could I possibly be early? Make him sweat. Let's make him sweat. Oh, that's embarrassing. I didn't mean to catch you all off guard. I'll go wait outside in case you all can and wait for you all to collect yourselves. I'm just surprised that Noble Electronics could screw up something as simple as a meeting start time. But I'm not well versed in the art of being a big fat dork. You've made your point, counselor. Don't push your luck. Not with these people. Might I dare ask who these people are? You don't have time to remember their names, and it won't do you much good either. Right, so they're not just rich, they're anonymous rich. The Mob Act guarantees a minimum level of security and peace of mind for any citizen who might be targeted due to their financial status. Boy, we're looking down the barrel of a gun on this one, aren't we? Let's read this, because I bet we're really looking down the barrel of a gun here. The Protection of Reasonable Anonymity Act is a law passed in 2059 and amended in 2061 intended to protect the safety of individuals with income above the 99th percentile of the nation. Labeled in the press as the Mob Act for its supposed goal of hindering mob justice, the PRAA establishes procedures and funding for technology that helps individuals within that particular tax bracket keep their name, face, and address off the main net, ensuring that they and their families are not prejudiced against just because of their financial status. Economic uncertainty and civil unrest in the late 2050s led to a series of highly publicized crimes wherein corporate executives at a number of high-profile companies were stalked, harassed, and assaulted in net-organized flash lynchings. After a particular chaotic attack that resulted in the hospitalization of a 14-year-old, the PRAA was proposed, debated, and signed into law in just under 11 hours. The flash lynching case has not gone on trial since 2062, but the PRAA continues to protect citizens to this day. Some economists have pointed to the PRAA and its promise of anonymity as to why the nation has enjoyed a relative resurgence in corporate immigration over the past few decades. But the purposefully obscured nature of the law's implementation have made the task of weighing its true economic impact effectively impossible. It's Ouija time! Spoken like a true believer. Except mob act was what normal people call it. Touting the party line, but allowing yourself one instance of rebellion? Or just a slip of the tongue? I would never fault anyone for wanting their privacy, especially not job creators. But it must get pretty inconvenient not having a name to call them. Not really. Conversations with them are always one-sided. Sounds like a great environment to do business in. Look at the building you're standing in. We managed to eke out a meager profit somehow. So if it works, didn't take you for the might makes right type, and I didn't take you for a clueless bore incapable of reading the room. Sorry, did I say something off color? I was only being casual since it's just the two of us in here. Tisk. Maybe we should take advantage of this rare bit of privacy. Clear the air. You're here to ask about Sarah, yes? As I said before, I had no idea that Dr. Ashur had been building an android on his private property. And I can say here and now that no one at Noble Electronics ever suspected that he was working to undermine the Tenet framework. She's trying to sound candid in her tone, but she's choosing her words with a surgeon's scalpel. Was she coached? Is that the truth, or is it your statement as VP of Android Futures? It's both, of course. Dr. Ashur was always more than happy to hole himself up and work independently. We both know that. True, he could be pretty reclusive. I'm sure it caused all kinds of headaches, him disappearing on you and all like that. Must have been especially difficult when he came back with breakthroughs that propelled Noble to the top of the industry. You should take a seat. If that's everyone, shall we begin? Friendly bunch. Is this fucking Seeley? It's incredible. Is there a problem with the sound? Anyone get muted by accident? No. Okay. Thanks for having me. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm actually a bit flustered having you all show up here. I didn't expect to talk to anyone higher up than a service associate. You're investigating the death of Dr. David Ashur. Why wouldn't we take this seriously? Because you want me to go away. At least half of you do. The others aren't sure yet. You must be confused. The board is, as always, united in its decisions and its visions for the direction of this company. Uh-huh. A board of directors is just 13 roulette-rolling psychopaths who get together and vote on whether or not to execute their CEO every 6 months. None of them would be where they are if they were anything else. But I happen to know that kind of person... I happen to know that kind of person thinks. How that kind of person thinks? I think we missed a word there. How that kind of person thinks. There we go. The way I see it, there are two possible outcomes. Option 1, you oppose me. Shut me out completely, stonewall me, stall me, wait for me to walk into that trial so unprepared and ill-informed that I inevitably lose. Obviously, I don't like this option, but you can't be big fans of it either. If I lose, the world will learn that Dr. David Ashur was killed by an android he programmed. Then every customer you've ever had, and every lawyer they've ever seen on TV, and every firebrand strapping young 60-year-old junior senator looking to make a name for themselves will use your company balance sheet as their personal chew toy. The company is more than capable of, after which the state still might just gobble you whole and throw down enough sanctions to deperson whomever among you cries, "No fair!" The company and its allies at the Capitol can more than fend for themselves. Yes, probably, but not definitely. Which makes it a gamble. Still my turn to talk? Then on to option 2. You cooperate with me. I use what you give me, or forge for me, to win at trial, proving that David wasn't killed by an android. When the market opens tomorrow morning, you'll get another round of stock buybacks in on the initial dip, then pat yourselves on the back for staying calm as you continue to profit off David's legacy for the next 100 years. And you won't even have to worry about him speaking out of turn. That's only if you win. God, she is so good! If the company cooperates with you, denies that David was killed by, and the state beats you anyway, it would be catastrophic. Yeah, it's a gamble. But if at least some of your board wasn't considering taking it, I wouldn't be here. We're all busy people, and I'd hate to drive a wedge between such a close-knit group of friends. So how about this? Option 3. Hedge your bets. What? Put a little on black, put a little on red. Spread the love and lower your risk profile. Don't make any statements about the trial. Tell the media the state's got your windpipe in a vice. Wait until just before the markets open Monday morning to send out your PR packages for rubber stamping, after you already know who's won. One way or another, this trial will be over before the end of the day, and you'll never hear from me again. So just don't shut me out completely for another few hours. And does anyone second that motion? Very well. We can answer some of your questions, counselor. Better make them count, then. No reason to be shy now. The poison that killed David Ashur has been identified as serotonin. You familiar? It's one of our many patented materials, as I recall. You recalled it pretty easily yesterday. Gee, what's changed? Seem to remember you having a part in its development, perhaps. But intellectual property law can be very complex, counselor. I'm not sure how much I or anyone at the company could tell you about serotonin at this time. Well, if you can't tell me about it, who could? You did lead its development, didn't you? Yes, I oversaw the project, which just makes it that much harder to speak freely without compromising the confidentiality of the teams that reported to me. I understand. That sounds like bullshit, and I don't believe it. But I'm not asking for trade secrets here. It's a perfect match for the only foreign substance found in his blood. Serotonin is what killed him. The state will say the same. That's not possible. Care to elaborate? I'm sorry, but I can't say any more at this time. So much for cooperating. And if I were to ask you as an officer of the court, then I would ask you to be patient and wait until this afternoon. ADA Rockford has already called me to testify. Oh, we are going to have a showdown! Already? Damn it, I got cocky because the cops is late arrival. Emma must have gone straight to the throat first thing this morning and left the investigating for later. Hell, knowing her, she probably managed to ID the serotonin before she went to bed last night. Your head Rockford has a lot of files? Yeah, I hear that about him. So are we still having this conversation then? As I said, I'm sorry. But I have to take more than just my personal feelings into consideration here. There's a great deal at stake. Corporate speak for "you're too stupid to understand why I'm being dense." She's just trying to shield the company, plain and simple. LARPing as Helen Young d'Arc on a crusade against government overreach. But I'm sure that... But if she's that busy defending Noble, she might be leaving herself unguarded. Why is she here anyway? Why am I speaking to her and not her lawyers? That's right. This is a vulnerable position for her. Oh, they're putting her in this position. She's being made take this responsibility. She wouldn't put herself in check like this, not unless she was forced to. So that's it. Acting like their mouthpiece. Oh shit! Are we playing blackjack again? Oh my word. All right. I didn't know we were gonna do blackjack outside the damn courtroom. The game is 21, chat. So that's it. Acting as their mouthpiece isn't some honor for her. This is a punishment. She's being used as a meat shield. They're upset with her, perhaps even suspicious of her. Time to find out why. Oh, did you? Well, let's just start here. Has David's will been located? It had never gone anywhere. It's still in a safety deposit box. We'll retrieve it and have it read once all the unknowns surrounding his death have been made into knowns. So David's will hasn't even become part of the equation yet. It might not be for weeks at this rate. Is that calculated though? So what? I'm tempted to press because I am curious. It's just like, do they have reason to go for his, to like, do they have reason to have his will as a priority, I guess? I mean, obviously it's a company they would want to know, but like, unless they think there's some, fuck it. Aren't you dragging your feet? Afraid that there's something in there that you'd rather not see the light of day? We are not jealous in-laws who have been bribing the county sheriff council. Oh, okay. All right. Anything we try to claim would inevitably be overturned as soon as the will is read. Surely you understand that, counselor. Of course. So did I go back? Wait. Yeah. We'll stay. All right. Man, this is tough. I don't really... Previously, like when you're doing this in court, they were like direct questions that kind of made more sense, but now I'm just like, I have to admit I'm surprised you aren't more shaken up today, Ms. Young. I'm processing. After all, you and David did have a history. You started at the same time, didn't you? Yes, we were colleagues and cordial with one another. Just colleague? What am I implying here? Oh, damn. If you play with tutorials off, I'm still not sure, like, the up the ante mechanic kicks in, because, like, when I played episode 0, because like I said, I got an early key and I played episode 0 again, like, but when I turned off the tutorials, it didn't activate the ante system. I don't know if they fixed that or not. Hell with it, we'll press. Don't be so modest. You helped him create the 1-point doctrine that saved the company. All right, we got a card there, so I think pressing was the key there. That is a gross exaggeration. Noble is far too large an organization to be affected by the contributions of an individual. Suppose you're right. No one person could change Noble's fortunes overnight, except for David Ashur, of course. But he was a once-in-a-generation talent. The guy Noble chose for their advertisements and the one they commissioned editorials about. Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have equated the two of you. Oh my God! There's clear motive here. Jesus! I just hope his 1-point doctrine doesn't fall out of favor now that he's gone. Yes, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. Well, she didn't exactly explode with rage, but she definitely reacted. There's real jealousy there. Whether it ever boiled over, though. Well, this one just popped up. Because, so they got rid of jealousy, so this just popped up. Now I don't know if that's like, oh, like you did a right thing and made another good choice pop up or not. I'm trying to think of like where we like what are they going to say about Sarah is what I don't. I think that like Sarah's probably not the play here, because all they're going to say about Sarah is like, oh, like we didn't know anything about it. He did it on his own. Like that feels like a dead end to me. So I think David and Noble. David's Will keeps messing me up too, because when I was growing up, I knew somebody named David Will. I keep seeing that, and then bad things happened, and I don't talk to that person. I didn't talk to that person after high school or anything, but then I found out, oh, you did things later in life. Uh-oh, that's not good. I didn't mean to pry about your relationship with David or lack thereof. I suppose I'm just curious about his standing inside Noble as a whole. David Ashur was and always will be an outstanding contributor to the company's forward progress. Nothing will ever change that. Not even if he was killed by one of his own creations? That would, of course, be a tragic element that would call for reconsideration of his legacy. She was almost off guard there. Like she was surprised for me to be asking about Sarah ruining his reputation. Did David ever anger the boy? That seems juicy. But would she answer? I guess. I don't think staying and asking about Sarah is gonna get us anywhere. So I feel like this is the move. Besides Sarah, David's reputation was crystal clean. He never went against the company once. Did he? Oh? Unless I'm mistaken, and he and Noble were on bad terms. In that case, I might get the impression that some parts of leadership were actually glad to see him taken off the chessboard. That is not something buzzing in your ear? Fine. I suppose it makes no difference if you hear it now or at the trial or on your feed tomorrow. Oh shit, we nailed it. Dr. David Ashur was being sued by the company for breach of Whoa! Okay. Hold on. I think my brain put something together. I think I'm seeing what's going on at the company, I think. I can't put a finger on who did the actual murder, but I think I'm starting to see the motive behind it. I see two motives, actually. If I'm implicating the person I think I'm implicating, I'm compartmentalizing these two things right now because I think that there's something going on with this. There's something going on here, and like if David's being sued for breach of contract, it has to do with this. And if I'm gonna say that somebody like who would be the most viable person to have killed him, it's her, right? It has to be. How she did it, I don't know. Because I mean, again, she was the only one there. So anyway, we'll keep going here and see if maybe anything else jingles out here. Dr. David Ashur was being sued by the company for breach of contract. Satisfied? Now we're talking. Well then, I suppose that's blackjack, bitch. Can't wait for the dominoes to fall into place. So you couldn't have mentioned this breach of contract earlier? Not without complicating the company's position unnecessarily, no. But there's no hiding it at this point. It'll all come out soon enough. There's a paper trail. Much, much more than that. We'd been making moves to let him go for some time. Noble Electronics parting ways with David Ashur? Must have been one hell of a breach of contract. What did he do? He betrayed the confidence of the board. Was he contesting the suit? Putting up a fight? Engaging in a legal battle against a mega corporation without even telling me? Until recently, yes. You mean until he died? How recently? We spoke on Friday. That was what you two talked about at his parlor? No, this was earlier in the day. We were in his room, actually him, me, and several members of our legal department. It was an arbitration. And did you come to an agreement? A compromise. He would resign from his position in 2 quarters, foregoing royalties of any products we would develop after the next 24 months. In exchange, he wouldn't be publicly fired, and he would still be credited on all past, present, and future filings. Damn, they got that one fast. I'm Mod didn't even have to get that one. Sarimot's just like, I got that shit. Hold on. Pop! How very reasonable. On paper, maybe. No matter what the deal was, letting go of David Ashur is insanity. Reasonable, yes. We ended on a good note, I'd like to think. We shook hands. We even took a photo. Okay. Oh, everybody's happy. Yeah, that looks lovely. Something funny? Didn't know the board told jokes. They don't. That was illegal, expressing their displeasure with how much paperwork my good note ending left them stuck with. Children. It was just one night of overtime. So while they were spending their Friday night blowing the ink dry, you paid a visit to David's penthouse. Something left unfinished? Professionally, it was a good meeting. There was no yelling, no finger pointing. Much cleaner than expected. But Dr. Ashur did not want to retire. He didn't want to be forced out of the company when he was the one when he had contributed so much. I didn't enjoy doing that to him, so I came over that night to apologize to him. We talked, reminisced. When he brought out the drinks, I thought we'd be toasting to a new day. A few minutes later, he was dead because of that AI. That AI. Any ideas how it came to be? As I said, I have no idea he was working on it. My question was more broad than that. If you really believe David built an AI, how do you think he did it? How does Noble Electronics think he managed to work around the tenets? It's quite beyond my area of expertise. And no one at the company could call themselves an expert in illegal technology. Yeah, she didn't seem real happy about that. But some in the R&D department have theorized that he created what they call a wax-wane decaying priority loop, which, as I understand, is an unstable, resource-intensive theoretical method for pseudo-randomizing the weight amongst preset tenets. Well, about as far off target as it gets for that guess. But that kind of an elegant brute force nonsense seems a far cry from the kind of thing David would create, and I seem to have taken us over our allotted time slot. But I didn't even get to wave goodbye. You're serious about this trial? Don't I look it? You're not just making a play. You're actually going to defend that thing? I am just defending myself, Miss Young. Oh yes, of course you are. My mistake. I hoped you might be rooting for me, to tell you the truth. I may yet save everyone's stock options. The stock options will be fine either way. They always are. That gamble I offered your board, which outcome would you bet on? Finally, an easy question. What I would bet is that whatever the outcome, the company will eat it up and shit it out with very little difficulty. You painted an ugly picture back there, but I've already seen the future, and it's just another marketing gimmick. The great Dr. Ashur, too smart, too bold, too far ahead of his time. What spark of his genius remains buried in the inspired Animate 19? I guess that depends on... You were exactly right. He is more valuable to Noble as a dead man. Dead men can't step out of line or put their foot in their mouth or hold politically inconvenient opinions. To a good salesperson, a dead man is just another selling point. Pardon my outburst. I'm just tired. It's been a very long week for me. I'll let you prepare for your afternoon then, Dr. Young. No one calls me doctor. I ask them not to. You didn't want the title? At times I have thought very little of it. The PhD I earned from a Noble-owned school, biochemistry. It couldn't have been a large department at Noble before they started work on warm androids in earnest. They probably didn't have many expectations for the program back when she was a part of it. But I was proud of it when I first got it. Something changed. It never seemed to catch on. People didn't use it. So eventually I told people not to use it. A very high IQ social power play, you understand. I'm a very smart, high IQ person. 400 IQ strats. David never insisted that people use it either. That's very different, and I think you know it. David Ashur didn't have to. All right, where are we at? I'm going into this trial. My trial with a lot less ammunition than I'd like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened, maybe even circling the drain on a suspect. But Emma won't be generous enough to give me breathing room. She'll want to end this fast. Maybe if I do badly enough, it'll flip her sadistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. So you got charged with owning an AI. First time you do something exciting in your whole life, and I gotta find out through the fucking grapevine? My life is plenty exciting. Freckles. You could bore the polish off a resume-checking robot. I fucked Catholic school teachers with more active night lives than you. Okay. So who'd you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh shit! Are you representing yourself? Fits with my budget. Screw your budget, you're going to jail! Thanks for the vote of confidence. It ain't a matter of how good of a lawyer you are. Anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for counsel. You represented yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't been dead 48 hours. You're too close to this. You'll make mistakes. The powers that be really didn't want to give me a rain check. They're taking this very seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Is there precedent? An ad committing murder? How'd you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is not helpful to you at the moment. So what words of advice do you have? Get yourself a new lawyer. Gonna close this chat now. Don't lose, Freckles. You don't need to tell me that. Hey, Sarah. Our baby girl has been shackled. Look at this. This is awful. Look what they've done to our baby. Our precious little child. What are you reading, Adonai? I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts. The one we found inside the panic room? It looks quite extensive. Should I skim it for you? Depends. Did you pass the bar exam since we last spoke? Pinocchio's a real girl after all. You comfortable? I am not. Ever seen that old movie with the gorilla and the skyscraper? They bring it to the city and... I understand the analogy, Adonai. I wish I could call it overkill. But considering the specs Sarah put up yesterday, maybe those bindings aren't heavy enough. Come to think of it, those numbers must have been faked along with the rest of what that machine read. If that was all a smokescreen David added to help her lay low, then her actual strength is more like... If your joints weren't currently locked up tighter than a vice, do you think you could escape this place? I hope that question is not indicative of your strategy. This is me trying to distract you, Sarah. Enjoy the hypothetical. I would estimate that the building's automated security would put 9 holes in me before I reached that door. 9's not so bad. I would not be able to function after the 7th. Ah. Well, if you haven't been planning some great escape, I would not do that. That would be illegal. And you would still be on trial. I remember. So what have you been doing all day then? I am attempting to recover memories from Friday. You can do that? It is not dissimilar from the process of recovering data erased from any other computer, despite the difference in scale. I won't be able to remember everything, but if successful, I could recall individual pieces of information that could prove useful. That's a lot of coulds. And even if you're successful, you may not like what you find. Whatever happened that day, either you or David wanted you to forget it. Yes, but even so, I have to remember. Because it's the last day that Father and I... Any luck so far, then? I can recall a slightly musty scent. Wow, case closed. What about you, Adonai? Have you formulated a plan for the trial's proceedings? Something like that. Young insists that serotonin wasn't what killed David. I don't buy it. There's no other explanation for how he died. So is she lying? And if she repeats that lie on the stand, I'll need to expose it. Somehow. Somehow. Would she really commit perjury to protect Noble? To protect one of Noble's patents? Absolutely! She doesn't strike me as quite the corporate zealot she makes herself out to be. But you believe that she had something to do with Father's death. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know why anyone would kill Father. Considering the possible consequences of what he confessed to in that journal, I can think of... But then again, I don't understand why anyone would kill anyone. Do you? Bells tolling for the... Means that the doors to the courtroom are unlocked. Let's... Wait, can you walk like that? Aww. Waddle will have to do. Wait a second. Across the hall, that's... Oh, hey! Boyfriend, what you doing? Keep waddling, Sarah. I'll catch up. Keep waddling, girl. You got it. As you say, Adonai. This'll be a coin toss. You that surprised to see me? I'm not surprised you'd want to see the outcome of this trial. I am surprised you'd want to talk to me. You're defending the android, right? Yeah. I'm defending Sarah's innocence. I don't think she killed David. Do you? I don't think it matters. Noble is what killed David. Whether it was with a pen stroke or a sleeper agent killer android or plain old goddamn arsenic, How could anyone that smart be that dumb? Why the hell did he ever sign his soul over to them? David may have been in over his head, but he wasn't a bad negotiator. I've read his contract. His position was strong. You're the lawyer, but a guy like me working in music? Can't tell how many people I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. No such thing as corporate generosity. If you think you're getting a good deal, it's only because you don't know how much you just sold. How much you just sold. David's real wealth lied in his intellectual property, the potential energy of it hanging over the whole industry. If he sued even 1% of the companies taking inspiration from his Turing solution, there's a clause in his contract. If Noble ever did fire David, he would have retained control over all of his patents afterward. Yeah, see, that sounds nice. Only they never did fire him, did they? He just happened to die. An unforeseeable act of God. In contract law, they call that force majeure. All right, and I think that is going to be where we call it, because I think we're going into trial. So I'm going to guess tomorrow night we're probably finishing this up, right? That's my guess. Oh, we got an arbitration. Dr. David Ashur met with Helen Young and a team of noble lawyers to set the terms of his resignation, and that afternoon before he died, Young set up a meeting and controlled every aspect, the refreshments to the timing, in line with co-workers' descriptions of her detail-oriented personality. All right. So, I don't know why I'm saving 3 times. All right, so that is going to do it. Door before the final boss. It was Yakra the 13th. All right, so yeah, we will be back here tomorrow night to put an end to things. We're going to do the trial, baby. That's going to be real fun. The last trial went absolutely insane, so I'm just expecting things to go even crazier now. Yeah, that gives you time to peep the VOD. Yeah. The VOD should cut, like, as soon as I sign off, so you can go back and check that first, like, what, hour I think you missed, maybe? I don't know. Let's see who's streaming so we can throw some love around here. Here's somebody. Let's do this. We're gonna raid a completely new person that I only just followed today. They're playing Dona Dona, which I don't know how they're playing Dona Dona on Twitch, but God bless them. I know that game has got some adult content, so maybe they're doing some clever, editing or something. But yeah, raid. I think this is your name. Nomase. Let's Nomase. Boom. All right. Well then, that is going to do it for me tonight. But yeah, we'll be back here at 7 p.m. tomorrow night to do the trial and put a cap on things. Thanks everybody for coming out. I'm glad you hung out and had a good time. Thanks so much for all the raids as well. Thank you to Kit, Freezing Inferno. It's been absolutely baller to have people come by and be enjoying this game with us. So wrap things up tomorrow, and we will catch you then. You have a nice rest of your whatever, wherever you are. Bye-bye.